All right, Ethan, I'm asking to end this. I'm asking
you can leave anytime, Trisha.
But then you're making this thing where we're not ending the show and you get to sit here and be like, okay, well, that just happened.
Fucking eyebrows and everything.
You were into pills. You never talk about that you were a pill addict for a minute.
Hey guys, it's Naira. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. I really miss doing astrology videos, and I saw a perfect opportunity with everything that's going on right now with the Frenemies podcast slash franchise or whatever. Trisha Paytas has left the Frenemies podcast for like the third time, and I always ask myself the question that Michael Scott asked Toby: why are you the way that you are? Like, not just about Trisha, not just about celebrities, about everybody. That's what made me get into astrology. I'm like, why do people behave this way?
Why are you the way that you are?
Today we're going to be looking at Trisha Paytas' birth chart. Not the entire thing, but just the things in a birth chart that I think will be the most relevant here, and what I just think are the most relevant in general, and seeing if maybe we can find a clue as to why Frenemies is no longer, because Ethan has said that he's not doing this anymore. He's not doing the back and forth. He's not willing to let Trisha come back to the podcast. Also, I'm drinking tea right now because I always have tea in the morning, and the mug says Rad Dad because I stole it from my boyfriend. So just ignore that. This is not my mug and it is not your business. I also want to say real quick, I'm going to try my best to not go super in depth to any of her controversies or ignorance or like her racism, her sexism, her everything that she's ever done ever. I'm gonna try really hard not to go deep into that in this video, and we're just gonna kind of read her birth chart, okay? We're just gonna analyze it, read it, and I'm gonna try to stay mainly on the topic of her departing from Frenemies. And also, I'm not going to be touching on her mental illnesses, although they do play a part in why she is the way that she is, or why she acts and says and does the things that she does. I am not a therapist or a behavioral psychiatrist or like whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm not that. So it's not my place to speak on, and they're not my mental illnesses. It's not my place to bring them up, period. And I also want to clarify, I am not a fan of Trisha, but I also don't hate her. I'm pretty neutral on her, but I do think some of the things that she's said and done in the past is disgusting and not okay. All right, let's get into it. Most of my research for this birth chart came from an astrology book, not a website. It's called You Were Born for This, and it is like the best explanations of birth charts that I've ever found on any website, on any other astrology book. I have a link down below in case you're interested, because if you study astrology, even if you're just trying to get into astrology and like sometimes things are too wordy or like too complicated, this book is perfect. It perfectly describes what everything in the birth chart means. All right, so we're gonna start with Trisha's big three. Your big three is your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. Those are deemed the three most important parts of your birth chart. Your sun sign is the sign that's just determined by the day you were born. It's like your actual zodiac sign, and she is a Taurus. So as we know, your sun being in Taurus makes you very, very stubborn. Being a Taurus makes you like notorious for being stubborn. You know, that's like the go-to, the cliche, but it is very true. Tauruses are very stubborn. However, some things that really stood out to me about having your sun in Taurus, especially in relation to Trisha Paytas, is they are the best versions of themselves when they're using their own resources to build an empire. So this is very true of Trisha being self-made and like wanting to use their own resources to build their empire. If I'm not mistaken, Trisha like used to be a stripper. She's like very much like, you know, 10 toes down, I'm gonna grind and I'm gonna get it. Like Trisha Paytas is very much that. Homegirls out here like writing books, making Christian rap albums and stuff. Like she very much is a go-getter. She's somebody who's like, I'm gonna make this money, I'm gonna build this platform. So that is very true of Trisha. And Tauruses also like to provide for the people that they love and care about, which is also true of Trisha, because if I'm not mistaken, I think she takes care of some of her family members. I don't know tons and tons about her, but you know, the internet's always talking, so I do know some stuff. So they like to provide for people they care about, and they're very generous. They like to take care of you. They like to spoil you with gifts. But at their worst, Tauruses can be very controlling. They can be very possessive. They can be obsessed with stability and like completely not willing to take any risk. And they are prone to defense mechanisms like being really bossy.
All right, Ethan, I'm asking to end this. I'm asking
you can leave anytime, Trisha.
But then you're making this thing where we're not ending the show and you get to sit here and be like, okay, well, that just happened, and you're eating pizza, and then
I will end the show the minute you walk off the
All right, so let's just end it, please. Thank you guys for watching. And I don't want it to be a thing where you're just sitting here eating pizza and you become a meme.
And being belligerent. And we see this in Trisha, like when things are not going her way in terms of frenemy, like she will get very belligerent. She will get very belligerent and she will start to like attack people. Like she had came at Ethan because he used to have like a drug addiction or he battled with like a pill addiction or something. It's like, that's just things that like the average person is like, okay, well, I'm not going to go there just because I'm upset about something or because they said something. But Trisha will get belligerent like that and be like, you know what? You offended me, so now I'm going to offend you 10 times harder.
But you're way crazier than me.
That's so not true.
No, but you're way crazier than me.
That's not true.
Bro, that's objectively true.
You hide it more, just like Mikey, who hides shit.
Oh, really?
It all gets brought to the surface.
I don't hide
later
anything.
On.
I literally don't. You literally just said how honest I am, and you respect that about me.
But you hide the crazy, is what I'm saying. Yeah, you
I don't
share
hide.
a lot.
I don't hide.
You do hide the crazy.
I'm all out there with no fucking eyebrows and everything.
You were into pills. You never talk about that you were a pill addict for a minute.
And Tauruses also love like luxury goods. They love to live the good life. They like to eat at the nice, fancy, expensive restaurants. They want to go to Nobu and buy the Louis Vuittons and the Chanels and the Gucci. And they also are very, very sensual people. They love sensual pleasures and they love to like embrace their sexuality, and we definitely see that in Trisha. Trisha is very like sexually explicit and sexually expressive. I don't think that's a bad thing. I actually think it's a really great thing for everybody. They're very authentic when it comes to like their sexuality. They're going to very much be themselves and not be afraid to be sensual, sexual beings who enjoy sensual, sexual things. Now let's move on to her moon sign. She has a moon in Aquarius. And stubbornness also comes with this placement. So when we see Trisha refusing to admit that she is upset about something on the Frenemies podcast.
No, but I feel like a lot of frustration you have about everything with the...
Frustrated? When I'm bringing stuff up, you get defensive. I'm not frustrated.
Like when she's like, no, I'm not mad. I'm just saying. It's like, no, but you are mad. But you're so stubborn that now you're like, damn, I done said I'm not angry, so I really got to stick by this. Like, I can't admit that I'm mad now. That stubbornness comes from not only her being a Taurus, but her moon is in Aquarius, and that brings a lot of stubbornness as well. Your moon in Aquarius also means that you're going to need some personal space. Like, Trisha is a very social person. That's in her chart as well, and we'll get there. But she connects through social interaction. However, she does need, like, peace and quiet. She most likely is the type of person that, like, goes home at the end of the night and puts her phone on do not disturb, runs a bath and just chills, like doesn't want to talk to anybody, doesn't want to, you know, like she most likely is the type of person like once that social battery runs out, okay, now leave me alone, I have to recharge. Having your moon in Aquarius also makes you a person who needs to be understood. Trisha desperately wants to be understood, which is probably why she is willing to argue like her point so hard, and probably why she always feels like somebody's gaslighting her, even when it doesn't seem like Ethan's gaslighting her, or even when it doesn't seem like anybody's doing anything unfair to her. When she feels understood, she takes it personal as if it's like an attack, and that is most likely due to her moon in Aquarius. She has to feel understood. She is like craving for someone to understand her and get her and be accepting of her. And also with the moon in Aquarius, these are people that have to learn how to create space for their emotions to be validated, basically. Trisha wants to not only feel understood, but validated. She wants Ethan to hear what she's saying and not only be like, okay, sure, but she wants him to be like, you know what? I get that. I apologize. I see your point of view. Like, she desperately needs that from her relationships. And next we have her rising in Virgo. So having your rising in Virgo makes you the happiest when you're working on something that you're passionate about. It's close to your heart. You care a lot about it. And so we can see that in things like when they were talking about planning out like costumes for the podcast. Like Trisha was excited about planning costumes and, you know, coming up with different ideas. And she was saying like, I was saying we should vlog this. I was saying we should do that. Like they were having an argument and you could see that she was a bit offended because she actually was like trying to prove to Ethan, no, I do enjoy working on this and this is something that I care about. And you know, she was like trying to prove that she does put effort and care and enjoyment into the podcast. A Virgo rising is also somebody who analyzes and overanalyzes every single data point that is given to them. You can say a simple sentence to somebody with a Virgo rising and they're going to think about it and think about it again and flip it and analyze your tone, analyze your word choice. Why did you say this instead of that? Why'd you say my instead of us? Why did you say it with that tone of voice? They're going to overanalyze the hell out of every single thing that you say to them. And that could be why sometimes we see Trisha getting completely offended over things that other people are like, that's not even like a big deal, or like that shouldn't have offended her, that's not even that bad, or Ethan didn't mean it like that. It's because as soon as Trisha gets data, she's running it in her mind, like, what did you mean by that? What's the deeper meaning here? What's the undertone? Like, what are you referencing? All of that comes into play when you're speaking to somebody like that. They're always in search of the root of an issue or the root of a sentence. Nothing is ever face value with somebody that has a Virgo rising, and that doesn't necessarily always have to be a bad thing, but we see that it manifests itself in kind of a nasty way in the arguments that they have. And this next point is very, very true to Trisha. It seems like people with Virgo risings can find so much fault and blame and issue with other people and with situations that they're willing to completely abandon it. Like, you can do one thing or like just rub them the wrong way or something, and if they can find enough fault in it, and they almost always can, they can find a reason to abandon you or abandon the situation. That's why we see Trisha walk away from the podcast so many times.
Holy cow, that's crazy. I mean, I don't know how I just don't see what you just did. That's really
What
crazy.
did I do?
We have to end it now.
It's like she can find so much wrong, and sometimes there are things that like legitimately upset her for a good reason and stuff like that, but she can read into it so much and find so much issue and like so many problems with things that she's like, you know what, F it, I don't even want to do this anymore, and I'm not coming back to the podcast. So that was her big three. I want to talk about three more placements of hers in her birth chart. I want to talk about her Mars, her Mercury, and her Venus. Let's start with Mars. Mars is the planet of aggression and energy, and Mars is also the planet of like your sexual interactions and desires, but mostly we're going to talk about like aggression and energy. So Trisha's Mars is in Aquarius. This girl has lots of Aquarius. Her Mars is in Aquarius, which makes her very direct and very brave and very blunt with communication. When your Mars is in Aquarius, your energy is very much like, it is what it is and I'm not beating around the bush. You're gonna like shoot straight with people and tell it how it is, or how you think it is, how you see it. You're not going to like hold back or try to shield people's feelings. And that also aligns with her Mercury, because her Mercury is in Gemini. Mercury is the planet of communication, and Mercury in Gemini focuses on the best way to gather and distribute information, and they want to do that quickly. Like, Mercury in Gemini is probably the type of person who can't hold a secret very well. Like, they get that information and they're like, okay, what's the fastest, most efficient way to tell as many people as possible? And that's why I think we see Trisha Paytas always being the one to call out other influencers, Gabby Hanna, Jeffree Star, Ryland. Like, she's always the one who's like, James Charles too, but she's always the celebrity / influencer calling out other people. And it's because like she gets some good tea, or she gets some stuff that she feels like the public has to know, and she's like, oh, I'm telling y'all, and I'm telling y'all straight to the point. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna tell it in a nice way. I'm cutting straight to the chase, and I'm telling y'all the tea so that y'all know what the real deal is. And so that's why we see her talk so much shit basically on the Frenemies podcast. And I don't like talk shit like in a bad way, but just like, she gonna talk about other celebrities. Like, if she got beef with you and there's a Frenemies episode coming out, you better believe she's talking about it. You better believe she's airing you out. She's exposing you. Like, that's just how people with these placements are. And so the fact that her Mercury is Gemini and they're like, I've got to get this information out quickly, and the fact that her Mars is Aquarius and they're very direct and like, you know, cut to the chase, that's why we see Trisha being such a straight shooter when it comes to confrontation with Ethan and with other influencers, YouTubers, whatever. Lastly, I want to talk about Venus. That is the planet of love, romance, and relationships. And her Venus is in Gemini. She has quite a bit of Gemini in her chart too. She has like Gemini and Aquarius sprinkled out in there, and that's a dangerous mix. But her Venus being in Gemini lets us know that she connects through social interactions. And so this can be conflicting with her moon in Aquarius, because sometimes she does need that personal space and she does have to be a little bit more reserved to like, you know, regenerate and recharge. But at the same time, her Venus being in Gemini means that the way that she connects is through social interaction. So I'm willing to bet a lot of the times that she's showing up to the Frenemies podcast, she really doesn't want to be there. And it's not even always personal, but it's just that like maybe she feels like she needs to recharge. But I mean, that's her job. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of the arguments could stem from there as well, because it's like, okay, I need my personal space. I need to recharge. I need to be alone sometimes. But I have this commitment to literally show up and be social. And although she likes to connect with people through social interactions, that can be pretty draining for a moon in Aquarius. I think Trisha's birth chart sees a lot of conflicting placements, and I feel like that really does have a lot to do with the way that she is and the way that we see her act out on the podcast. I guess lashing out would be a better way to put that. But yeah, that was me roasting Trisha Paytas' birth chart. I really didn't roast it. We just kind of analyzed it and connected some dots. I really love this video, and I had so much fun like taking the time to research, and I don't know, I feel like I got to know Trisha. I mean, I don't know the woman at all, but I feel like it was really fun to do the research and just like put two and two together. Love that for us. Thank you so much for watching. Even with my nails looking this ratchet, I really appreciate it. If you're new here and you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe. Let me know what other influencers, YouTubers, celebrities, whatever you want to see me do a birth chart reading of next, because this was actually tons of fun for me. Follow me on Instagram, and I will see you guys in my next video. Mwah! Bye.